live already. Sorry, new OBS installation, a bit of a mess. Okay, let me check that I'm indeed live. What's missing is actually, yeah, looks like so. Looks like we're missing the chat. I don't find the chat. I thought it was going to appear as soon as I... Where the hell is the chat? Come on. Was it like removed in OBS 6? Come on. I'll get there. Just give me a second. So you have to install a third-party thing. It worked last time. It just worked out of the box. What's up with it now? I'm so confused. I should be able to see like the chat here. It's 2 in the morning. Oh, poor hi, poor you. Feel free to sleep. Yeah, I'm just going to... Oh, I can do this. Wow, didn't know about this. Okay, so keep up with others. Okay, very cool. That's good to know. And here I'm going to put the subscribers. So like this, we should have everything set up correctly. I think so, at least. Okay, you can close. You should also hear me, you should see me. Everything should be working fine. I'm just quickly going to show you a little thing that I'm working on, which is a new website. Because my current website, yeah, I mean, it's pretty, but it does not really serve any purpose, actually. Like, it's this one, very pretty, a bit of a mess because of CSS stuff, but doesn't really do anything. Yeah, so I wanted to do something more practical. So I was working on this website with the podcast, the videos, and then KDE development, poetry, Nico poetry, everything that I do, clearly laid out and stuff like this. Hello everybody, and yeah, 5 subscribers away. I think we can do this. I just need 5, and then I can just close down everything. I don't need anything else. What else? You can start asking stuff. Here it's 9:30 in the morning. I thought it was a good time. I just woke up. And yeah, as you can see, we're going very slowly. Like, I'm almost to 10K since days ago. That's rather annoying. I would like to get to 10K to, be able to brag about it and stuff. Are you using KDE Neon? Yes, I actually switched to KDE Neon very recently, just a couple of weeks ago. The idea behind that is I actually choose the user version of KDE Neon and not the developer's version. Why? Because I like to see how the system works for users, not for developers. That's more of an interest for me. But of course I installed packages to actually build the KDE, and I do build KDE from source. So, but yeah, KDE Neon. KDE Neon versus Kubuntu. Okay, so KDE Neon, especially the developer version, of course, is more meant for developers. Kubuntu is always and only the latest stable release of KDE. Kubuntu does have more changes to KDE Plasma. As an example, it changes the default theme. I think it uses Twilight or something, I don't remember, maybe just dark. The default of course is light, which is what I use. So Kubuntu does a couple of more changes. KDE Neon is a bit more meant for having the very latest KDE stuff, especially the testing versions. that's really the reason that I think we have it in the first place. But I think it serves nicely if you just want a very vanilla KDE experience with a user distribution of it. Hey, thanks, Brody. Yes, I was actually thinking that as soon as I reach 10K, somebody is going to do that. So I'm not going to part until I reach, I don't know, 10K and 5, just for sure, just so we have. Thank you, really. How have you developed this passion for poetry? Good question. I don't know. I think it was rap initially that got me started, because rap does have a lot of rhymes and sound schemes, and I really like rhymes. So I just started rhyming on my own. However, I found poetry rhymes to fit me better than rap. I'm trying to do rap, I'm not really good about it, I can't sing. And yeah, that's really the reason. Poetry is very different from rap. You can, as an example, change the piece of your readings much more quickly. In rap, you have a beat, and the beat goes at a certain velocity, a certain speed, and certain BPM, and you can't really change it midway through a song. I mean, you can, but no, not many times. A poetry, you can go fast, then slow down, and then go back fast. You have a lot of freedom over that. Can we expect calling from phone through PC through KDE Connect? Not really. I have not seen any work being done about it. Some cool stuff from KDE Connect that I saw was started as merge request, but I think never actually finished, or as an example, the ability to take a picture from the phone, but clicking a button on the desktop. So on the desktop, you say, okay, take a picture. You get the phone does the picture, and then you get a picture on the computer, which is pretty nice. There's also, potentially we could implement, the KDE Connect team could implement something like screen copy. If you don't know what screen copy is, go check it out, because I mean, it's super useful. The issue is that it requires USB debugging, and that's a bit of a security threat to tell users to enable USB debugging, so that's why it's not implemented yet. How to learn coding? From college, any course, or reading documentaries? How did you learn? Okay, so personally, I never went to any college or school that actually taught coding. I learned by myself. I started out with Scratch. I don't know if you know the project, it's scratch.meet.edu. And even if you're grown-ups who don't like cats, I really suggest you that you check out this project, because it allows you to learn coding just by drag and dropping colorful blocks, which is probably the best way to get started. So I suggest you to actually check this one out. Then I started reading books. As an example, I usually suggest, but it's in Italian, I don't know in English how it is, but in Italian there's this book called Python from 14 years old and up, or 13, which again makes you feel like you're a children, because it says 14 years old and up, but it's and up, so any age is fine. And I learned with Python. I generally suggest to start coding in Python. It makes things easier, and then you can switch to more complex ideas. Of course, if you go to any college, any university that teaches IT, you're going to learn coding, that whether you like it or not. So from that point of view, you're assured, and they are going to tell you how to. So they're going to tell you the books to study and stuff. So if you go to university, that's obvious. If you want to do it yourselves, you have to research a bit. Generally, I suggest books and documentation. As an example, for QML, there's this very nice book, which is the QML cookbook or something like that, a handbook, something that is really useful if you want to get started with QML, which is a rather simple language. So if you need it, send me a message, I can find it back. Are you going to do a review of GNOME 43? Yes. I know Python, Django, HTML, CSS. How can I contribute to KDE through it? You can join the web team, I'd say. Not really Django, but HTML and CSS are surely useful for the web team. You can see in kde.org there's a get involved link, and one of the things is web design. And there's a web design team, just join and you can help out actually designing the KDE.org website. 6, that's one closer. And Python, I'm not currently aware of any app, KDE app in Python, sadly. I mean, you can make one. But yeah, currently I'm not aware of any. There are some scripts around KDE that automatize some things that are in Python. I've written one to generate the wallpapers. I never finished it. They're going to be so angry at me. I was supposed to finish it. Whoops. What do you think of the idea that KDE could host a KDE Connect online service for people on networks who can't use KDE Connect locally? It's very complex, sadly. These kind of things, you have to always think firstly about the impact that it's going to have from a bureaucracy and privacy point of view. So if we have an online service to relay KDE Connect through, it means that all of the data that usually is locally in your network will go through KDE, and that's a big security privacy risk that should be managed by KDE, which means that all of that data should be, as an example, end-to-end encrypted, I guess, which complicates things a lot. We also would need a significant amount of money to keep up the servers to that. I don't think it's really feasible. I don't think that we have enough system administrators to manage this kind of thing. So what I would like to see is either from KDE or some organization that's very close to KDE, the offering for online storage through Nextcloud. So you have a KDE account with a Nextcloud associated to it, and just like Google Drive, you can upload documents, edit them online, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it really depends on the phone. Sadly, there are all workarounds to the fact that Androids try to make their phone more appealing by just killing ruthlessly apps in the background, especially like Xiaomi. They do that a lot. Sometimes we cannot prevent that, sadly. Does KDE come in Google Summer of Code? Yes. I'm not exactly sure about the exact dates, but I'm sure it does that. So if you're interested in that, you can join that. Again, not exactly sure about the time periods, but you can just search for KDE Google Summer of Code and you'll find it. Thanks you so much. Yeah, I hate bills too, and I actually had a lot of them recently when I actually had to move here. So now I'm living all by myself and stuff. So trying my best. Thanks, Mkazi. We'll get there. In your opinion, does KDE accept too many feature updates instead of bug fixes? This is the age-long question. It's not really about KDE accepting them. If somebody comes to KDE with a new feature, you can't just really say, no, I'm not going to accept it. Sorry. I mean, it works. It's a nice feature, but I'm not going to accept it. You can't do that. The point is, does KDE developers and people interested in KDE focus too much on creating new features rather than bug fixing? That's a different question. A fair one. Myself, I think I'm going to try to focus a bit more on bug fixing rather than bringing new features. That's what I'm currently doing, at least. And in general, yes, that is an argument to be made. Keep in mind, though, that if KDE is unstable, it could be not really just about the fact that there are not enough bug fixes, but also stuff like we're missing tests or we don't have a QA team. These kind of things don't help too. So that's another area where I think KDE should and will improve in the coming days, because there's a proposal from Nate which addresses that nicely, I think. And unless something happens, I think my personal guesstimate is that it will be selected as a goal in the first week of October. So that should help. I like KDE Plasma. Me too. Do you only develop FOSS apps and projects? Yes, yeah. Sometimes I do very little projects that I don't open source, not because I'm against open sourcing them, but because they're so useless that nobody would actually care. That's the only time where I technically do closed source projects, but apart from that, whenever I do a serious project, it's always open source, personally. Hey. Recommendation for stable KDE experience: Neon or Kubuntu for home use only? Between Neon or Kubuntu, probably Kubuntu if you're searching for a stable experience particularly. Not because Neon isn't bad, but maybe KDE Neon user, I don't remember if it has any more updated packages compared to Kubuntu. But Kubuntu should be slightly more stable than Neon, I think, in general. Don't quote me on that. But there are a variety of KDE-based distros that are pretty good, going from OpenSUSE to Fedora. But, I mean, if you go with Kubuntu, I don't think you can get it wrong, really. I can help you finish that script. Yeah, just send me a message. I can point it out to you where it should be finished. Is there anything you dislike about KDE? Sure. I mean, we can't like things. I'm not a fanboy. I mean, there are some things I don't like. What can I pick as an example? Well, if it was up to me, I would change some stuff. Like, as an example, I personally would implement rounded corners on the bottom of Windows. But currently, KDE KWin developers are against that for performance reasons mainly. So we really can't. But if it was up to me, I would do that. I would accept the performance impact, and I would just round the bottom corners. That's a very small example, but in general, there are a variety of little disagreements that I have with other KDE developers, and that's normal. I mean, it would be weird if we had no disagreement at all. So there are little things of KDE I dislike, but I mean, overall, I think it's the rest of that I love. So I was listening to your podcast. Yeah, I have a podcast, you know? It's this podcast here. Wait. Go check out the podcast. It's on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Apple Music, AntennaPod, Pocket Cast. I don't know. Anything. Just check it out. 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we're almost there. Nice. Do you know of an option to put one wallpaper across two screens? Yes, I think it's coming in an upcoming release of KDE Plasma. I think. I remember seeing a merge request about it. Don't quote me on that either, but I think there's a merge request for that. So it should be coming, if I recall correctly. Do you think any Linux distro works better with KDE compared to others? I've been using Arc with KDE. Works better. I don't know, because when it comes to different distros, the differences are not really in KDE, but what's underneath. So package manager, that kind of stuff is what changes between distros, really not KDE Plasma. KDE Plasma is really the same. It can be customized, it can be changed, you can change the default applications, but it's still KDE Plasma. So in general, I don't have a particular Linux distro recommendation for KDE Plasma. It's up to you to try them out and see what of the different distro fits you most. Like if you don't like APT, you're not going to like Ubuntu, as an example. It really depends on you. If you're on Arc, it makes sense that, if you're using Arc, it means a lot of things, that you have a lot of that you're actually able to install Arc. Most random users wouldn't be able to, so you're already a different group. It really depends on you. Mouse sensitivity, yeah, I think we had where is it? This one, right? Yeah, I remember that it was a bit too effective. It's not like we don't have enough steps, but the steps we have are not spread out very nicely, I think. What's the default this one? You should either open a bug report about this, because I'm going to forget. I'm not the developer who's working on those things. So, but if you open a bug report, and you can also give a look to how the slider is implemented. It's probably very easy to change under the hood. So you can change the step and the width of like the range. So you can try to fix that. I think there was a misunderstanding. The thing I was just open the KDE Connect app by mistake, and the only way to make the annoying notification not connected. You need that notification basically all of the time to actually have the app in the background. You need to terminate the application. Okay, that's weird. Usually the idea is that you should have KDE Connect always in the background with the notification necessarily if you want it to work. Of course, if you only use it sometimes, then I guess but I mean, it was intended for it to be always in the background. That's the design. Would you make an app for Android that generates your income through ads? If I have to, I would rather not. But I mean, I won't pretend to be the guy that would never use advertisement, because my channel does have advertisement turned on, so I do have advertisement already, but if I could turn it off, I would. However, I need to live. There's always that balance. If I had a lot of Patreons, that would maybe things would be different, but right now I don't have any plans to do an app for Android with ads. Is there a non-screen keyboard for KDE that works on touchscreen devices like GNOME OSC? There is Malit, the Malit keyboard. This one. This is what, yeah, nice screenshot. This one. This is the keyboard of Plasma Mobile and Plasma in Wayland in general. Works nicely. So you can just check that one out. What do you think about feature freeze and focusing on bugs for a couple of years? The issue with a feature freeze, and that it makes sense if it's, I don't know, for a month, top. If it's longer than a month, it means that, let's say that we have a feature freeze for 6 months as an example. Okay, 6 months. The issue is, during those 6 months, the fact that we have a feature freeze does not mean that we will not get feature request and merge request. So people are still going to develop new features. They're not going to stop. Maybe the core theme will stop, but most of the features we have are coming from developers that are maybe one-time developers. They just approach KDE for that one specific thing. They're not going to stop. They're not going to be influenced by a feature freeze, which means that during those 6 months, we'll have more and more and more merge requests for new features that we can't even address or accept because we're in a feature freeze. And what's going to happen is that after the 6 months, we're going to have hundreds of merge requests that have waited months to be accepted. And now they all have to be rebased to the latest stuff. Maybe some people will actually do that, but most people will disappear into nothing because they did all of the work and we didn't even accept it. we're going to lose a lot of functionalities that could have been in KDE Plasma if we accepted that, because they're not going to rebase it to the latest version, and it's going to be a mess to actually review all of that stuff. So it's going to make it pointless, really, because after 6 months of debugging, we're going to have thousands, like hundreds of merge requests that are going to bring bugs in necessarily, and we can't really say no to all of them. That would make sure that they never come back and help us out. Only one to go. I mean, we can do that. I think we can achieve one. Why did you become a KDE developer? Because I loved KDE so much. I started out by customizing the appearance of KDE Plasma a lot. And then I thought, okay, 10K, we did it. No fireworks. I thought there was going to be fireworks. Usually YouTube puts, let's make a screenshot. You know what? Save. Nice. 10K. 10K and 1. We're safe. 10K 2. Now it's starting to up 3. Let's go. And as I was saying, yes, I started customizing KDE a lot. And then I thought that the default KDE theme was not as pretty as it could be, so I started sending merge requests to change some of the visual elements. And slowly I got more and more inside of the KDE. What really made me start was when I was selected as a goal champion for the consistency goal. That was very nice and allowed me to really get an understanding of what KDE was like. Are we going to see new system icons for KDE? I don't think so. No. What about Lattedoc? Would you develop KDE taskbar that can do doc mode? This taskbar can do doc mode. You just have to do this. I'm going to make it much easier to actually see. Center, please. Center. Just like that. No, not this one. Okay, like this. This is kind of, it's a bit of a mess right now, but you can fix it. This is a bit of a deck mode, and you would need to, I don't know, take out the system tray as an example and make sure that the apps don't go into 2 rows, but you can do that. This is the dock mode. You can make it floating if you prefer. That's also an option. Let me show you. This is a dock de facto. That's how Lattedocs are implemented as well, really. It's just a panel that's not full width, and in Lattedoc you can also make it have background just on the bottom, but that doesn't really change it. The issue is that it's really not discoverable. Like, it's very hard to discover about this. So what my plan is to make it easier to discover, and I just want a dock button that you can click and it becomes a dock. So, but I'm not going to add any more features to the Plasma panel. Have you looked into adding notes and chapters for your podcast? That's yes. I'm looking into it. The issue is really making sure that I do not spend too much time on each episode, because sadly, I mean, I do one video every day for my channel, one podcast episode every day, one video every day for my second channel, which you don't know about. It's a lot of things to do every day, so I need to make sure that I optimize my time. So if I'm able to do it in a timely manner, I will, of course. If not, sadly. How long into your programming career did you start making money? What money? Is there any money? I don't have any. Currently, the only money that I'm making is like hundreds, around 100, 150 from YouTube, and around 100 and 150 from Patreon. That's it. That's my paycheck. So I don't really have a programming career. Can you engrave the Plasma logo somewhere on the new YouTube plate? I would love to, but I need to get to 100K to get a plate. I'm just 10% there. It's going to be a long journey. I don't know if I'll make it, but I'm going to try. I'm gonna give my best. But if I make it to 100K, then yeah, clearly going to do that. Zorin OS or Endeavour OS for daily driver? It's really up to you. I'm sorry that it's such a useless answer, but it's really up to you. You need to try those out, see how they are, see how they behave, and see what you like the best. I don't know you, and I can't make you a recommendation that I'm sure will work for you. So you just have to try them out. What do you think of Nobara Linux? First time I hear about this, so let's check it out. Nobara project, a modified version of Fedora with user-friendly fixes. Okay. Okay, so it includes some closed source stuff, I guess. Like, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense for Fedora not to want anything that's not open source, and it makes sense for somebody else to add it to make sure that everything works out of the box. Looks like a good project. Yeah, I generally agree with the sentiment. First time I see this. Can you get a sign-in option for KDE where all the settings will be synced if you format the OS and reinstall the system? Yes, again, this is same thing as I was talking about at the very start. This brings, if you mean something that's synced across the web with a KDE service, this has significant privacy impact. It means that all of your settings will be saved on KDE servers. Now you could try to, I don't know, end-to-end encrypt them. Has some downsides, but it means that we should like add a lot of support, not only to make sure that all of your configs are saved, but we also need to encrypt them. We need to start off a service for servers, and that actually costs money to send them, and then make sure that we also have all these account set up. Like you actually have a UI. You need a UI to create the account and save configs there, UI for uploading, downloading. It's a bit of a mess. I don't think that currently we're really able to do something like that. Maybe in the future, I don't know. But right now, I don't think it's feasible. Will KDE Neon 22 replace Pulsati for Pipewire? You need to ask the KDE Neon developers. I'm sorry, but I don't know about this one. Sorry. Yeah, but I mean, at least we have for screen sharing and recording. Currently I'm on Wayland and it works, which is surprising. I never got to set up screen recording in Wayland before, so I'm really happy with that. But for audio, I don't know. What desktop do you think is best for touch? GNOME, especially with all the improvements they're doing recently. It's really well designed for touch, simply. KDE Plasma is doing a lot of improvements. I think we have now this kind of gestures. What I'm doing right now is a touch screen gesture, very nice. But I think currently, right now, GNOME beats it, sadly. I mean, not sadly. Is it true that Garuda Linux team is taking over Latitude? I hear that they're going to and are not happy with the KDE devs attitudes over them. No, that comes to complete news to me. If you have any link, please send them to me because I'm really interested. I'm sad to hear that they are not happy with our attitude towards the project. I think that's generally unfair, but we can see what's the actual criticism and address it. Yeah. Yes, thank you, party. We did it. Search box. We also have the search box. We have that. It is in Wayland only and only. There's a lot of only, I know. Wayland only and only for the menu applet, the global menu applet, yes. But it's there. Unless it was removed, it was implemented at a certain point. For applications, you also have the spotlight thingy, Control-Alt-I, and you can search through all actions like this. Control-Alt-I, beautiful. Are you happy with the choice of Linux and KDE for the Steam Deck? Yes. I'm very happy, especially because some developers were, I think, paid. KDE developers, I think were paid to implement some things for the Steam Deck. So I'm always happy when KDE developers get employed thanks to their contributions. What do you think of Apple and MacBooks? I wouldn't switch to them, but they are clearly good laptops. Like, they have incredibly better life and performance. A bit expensive lately, but the first ones were very cheap for what they did. So I think they're good laptops in general. I would be happier if they had Linux on it, but you know. Yeah, if you announce that there is a feature freeze, people would not look at adding features but help with the bug. That's just false. I'm really sorry. That's never going to happen. You can announce it as publicly as you want, as strongly as well. People are still going to implement new features. There's still going to be people that either haven't heard about the feature freeze or they just don't care. That's not going to stop anybody really to implement new features. Somebody, but not enough people. We are going to have lots of you. Even KDE developers, like core KDE developers. If you get an idea and you want to implement it, you're going to implement it, knowing that there's a feature freeze. Maybe you're not going to propose it immediately, but the code is going to stay there, and as soon as the feature freeze is finished, you're going to propose it. First time for me on KDE is Fedora, but my experience is terrible. So what distro, if you didn't like Fedora, I would suggest you to check out Kubuntu. And if you don't like that, you can try out an OpenSUSE with KDE Plasma on it. And if you don't like that either, maybe you need to switch desktops. It really depends on you. Try those two, see how it works. There's also Manjaro KDE. I usually don't recommend that, but you can try it out. What's your second channel? Fine. You're going to discover about my second channel. Da-da-da. It's Nico Loves Poetry. This one. I do videos about rap and poetry. Yeah. It's in Italian. That's why usually I don't, talk about it here. It does not dynamically expand or shrink it. Yes, it does. If you add applets, if you open your application, it expands. If you close application, it shrinks. The floating mode needs work. I know I'm working on it, but it's gonna be fine sooner or later. I promise. 10k today to 100k next year. Hopefully. Lately I am not growing as fast as I would like. I'm starting to grow a bit disillusioned about the growth of this channel, but I'm going to do my best. Kid VTuber. Yes, I should totally do that. It worked for Baby Volgo, it's going to work for me, right? Transparency native in KDE. I guess you refer to apps. It is native for KDE Plasma themes, which means applets, the panel, it is native already. For applications, more complex. Currently, right now, no. Maybe Plasma 6, maybe, very maybe. Right now, no way, sadly. You can, however, install third-party Q styles that implement it. Not necessarily. Quantum is an example. Not just Quantum. There's also Lightly. If you install Lightly, you're going to have transparency on apps. So you can have a transparency. You do need a third-party Q style, sadly. There's some plans to address these kind of things with a new theming system, but nothing concrete. I wouldn't put my heart on it. What browsers do you like? Yeah, currently I'm just using Firefox. I think that Firefox for open source enthusiasts is the browser that makes most sense, really. After all, there are many good alternatives, to be clear. Use what you prefer, but personally I think that Firefox is really one of the best options. I don't use Falcon or Anglefish. Anglefish is really maybe a bit more meant for Plasma Mobile, where Firefox doesn't work really well in a mobile form factor. Falcon, I mean, you can use it if you want it to be themed just like your other apps, to be consistent. But if you want a good browser, a really good browser, I think Firefox is one of the best out there. The Linux Gaming Hero. Yeah. Essentially, if you want to game on Fedora, just use Navara. Yeah, it makes sense to have something like that. I will start recommending it if somebody asks for that. Is it possible to install X or KDE only? Should be possible. Not exactly sure how. I mean, as I thought that there were. I thought it didn't have WLAN dependencies, but I guess it really depends on the distro, how it's packaged. I don't really know, sorry. That goes beyond me. It should be possible in theory, I think. I wish there were more options. You can customize them by switching the title bar theme, which of course is not called title bar theme, but it's called decoration. You can switch decoration. Of course, you might want to stay in Breeze and just change the buttons, but we don't really support that, and themes for just buttons for the decoration might be a bit too much customization. You can, however, change the decoration. That's what it's meant. Personally, I just love these buttons. I'm just in love with them. So, new design changes. Yes, but small ones. We're going to slowly and surely improve KDE Breeze throughout the updates, throughout the years. Already in the past years, we've improved it a lot. There were many changes in the Breeze look at each release. Now it's much prettier. We're just going to continue doing that. Slowly adding nice graphical features to make it look more modern, but nothing that significantly changes it, just small, nothing revolutionary, just small updates. Which distro is best? Depends on you, really. Distros are not about the desktop, like they are partially, but mostly they're about what's underneath. The package manager as an example. So it really depends on you on what you need underneath. Like Arc as an example is completely different from Ubuntu. Sometimes you're the kind of person that needs Ubuntu, like me. Sometimes you're the kind of person that needs Arc. And that's not about KDE. You can install KDE on either, it's going to work on either, but it's about what's underneath. Any idea when Plasma is getting oxidized? Like the oxygen theme? It's not, we're going to stick with Breeze. I doubt that oxygen will be making a significant comeback in default Plasma. Ever thought of making the system tray icon auto hide? The icons of the system tray do auto hide if they're not necessary. Not sure on what you mean here. As an example, if you have Bluetooth turned off, it disappears. If the battery is full, it disappears. If there's no KDE Connect, it disappears. If there's no USB attached, disappears. These kind of things. I'm not sure what you mean. Why do you always speak English instead of Italian? This is an English channel. Most of my viewers are English. Not sure what you mean either. Make title bars appear on the left, right instead of the top. I don't think that's going to be implemented, sorry. Not really. Which distro? KDE Neon. Thanks. Who's your favorite Linux-related YouTuber to watch? Probably the Linux Experiment. I think is like one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest. I don't know. I think it approaches videos the best way. I think you can see it's very skilled. Personal opinion. Not to say that other Linux YouTubers aren't good. Just saying that when I watch videos, I found him to be the most skilled one, in my opinion. Migration to KDE6, will that make KDE development easier? Probably. There are many bug fixes that currently we have to backport to Qt5 to actually have them. Qt6 is going to throw all of that away. It also brings some improvements in theory in performance of QML. Maybe not quite there yet, I'm not sure. But this kind of thing, I mean, it's surely going to help a bit. Maybe not significantly, but won't hurt for surely. Share the link of the send channel. It's you can find it as searching by Nico, like where is it? Nico loves poetry. Nico loves poetry, and that's one. Can Latte dock features integrated in KDE? No. KDE panel does have a lot of features already, and adding even more features is going to make users, most of the users unhappy, because they don't need all of the features that Latte dock has. So that's going to be an overkill, simply, and it's going to make it hell to maintain. So that's already the limit. No more features for again, personal opinion, but do you know any way to change the order of open windows in Task Manager via keyboard hotkeys? Ooh, there were a lot of improvements from keyboard hotkeys for these kind of things. I don't know about this very one. You should ask either open a bug report if you find none, or ask in the KDE development channel. I'm unsure about that very one. Probably there's none, probably. But if there's none, there could be a discussion on adding it, since we've added so many shortcuts to make sure that you can use your desktop without using the mouse, really. So you only use light themes. On a desktop, yes. On a laptop, yes. But on the phone, dark theme only. So laptop, light, phone, dark. Updates for Plasma Mobile? No, it's actively being developed. Right now, I don't remember the very last update of Plasma Mobile, but it is being developed. There's also a lot of focus on continue developing applications that are convergent between Plasma Mobile and desktop. It is, you've heard about GNOME developments, because just a couple of days ago, GNOME released a blog post about GNOME Shell on phones, which is super nice, but that was the result of months and months of work, so timing is not perfect, but both of them are being developed. We do have our unique style. I think we do have our unique style. Especially considering how much Windows has unknowingly copied from us. Like, I don't think they did it on purpose, but Windows over the years became more and more similar to KDE Plasma. That's my take on it. But I think we still retain our own style. I haven't used Asahi Linux, but I'm really happy to see its development and I hope it succeeds. Really, that's the only thing I can say. Really happy to see Plasma Desktop on it too. I've followed shortly some live streams of the development of it. Very interesting. You cannot move the icons. You can hide them manually. I'm really confused about system tray, how to hide after a certain time. System tray icons, how to hide when you don't need them. But I don't know, like Wi-Fi, should it how to hide after 5 minutes? I'm not sure I like that. I don't quite see the point of it. Yes, I'm using OBS QT6. Floating panel has the corners bug, complex stuff. I'll try my best to address it. I don't know at this point. If you really have to, it's not the corners bug, it's a different one, but it looks the same. And if you really want to get rid of it, just disable contrast effect in system settings, just disable contrast effect. Don't usually, because it makes Plasma prettier, but if you just cannot live with it, you can disable the contrast effect. What's the one thing that was a tiny feature but was super hard to implement? Oh, that's such a good question. It's a very good one. I need to think it through. I'm going to get back to maybe do a video about this. It's such a good video idea, so I'm going to answer this, not right now. I need to think it through. Is there a way to get macOS-like animation when anything gets downloaded, it pops up in the taskbar? No, sorry. We don't have that. Yeah, that's currently not feasible. There's a lot of requests for it, but currently it's not implemented. Maybe in the future I can try to give it a go, but right now I don't have the time. Is there a way not to have the panel get taller when using a full screen application? Currently no, that's another thing I'll try to address. I'll try my best to make it more natural. And I think I addressed all the questions, and it has been a lot since I started, and we reached 10 KDE stably, so I think I'm gonna go. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and well, just if you are subscribed to my channel, you know that I publish videos every day, so we'll just see you tomorrow. So thanks everybody, and see you soon.